Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Browning Cinema. My name is Ted Barron. I'm the Senior Associate Director here at the DeBartolo Performing Arts Center. We're very pleased you can join us tonight for our ongoing collaboration with the Nunavik Institute for European Studies. This semester, we've had our program titled Europe Beyond Borders, which we have beautiful graphics for. We're grateful for the Nunavik for creating some really nice design work this semester. We're also very grateful for the Nunavik's ongoing support of cinema programming here at the Browning. This semester we've been able to present a selection of European films which consider national and continental identities beyond traditional geographic borders. We're grateful to Leslie Udwin, who is our guest curator this semester. Leslie, if you had a chance to see Leslie earlier this semester, she was here to present two films that she had produced. And she was incredibly passionate about this theme, which we've been pursuing, considering the different sense of boundaries in relation to national identities. The other thing that Leslie was there's a couple of other, Leslie's passionate about many things, but she was also very particular that we include the work of Susanne Bier, who we're featuring tonight in this program, someone who she's admired for many years. But also that we include double feature screenings, which we had one other example of earlier in the semester, and we had a very enthusiastic response. So we hope that you're able to stay for the entire program tonight. What we'll be doing is presenting the first film, In a Better World, followed by a brief intermission, which will be about 10 minutes long, and then our second feature after the wedding. So we hope you can stay for the extent of the evening. There won't be any introductions before the second film. We'll just, after our intermission, we'll just run our second feature. To let you know a little bit about the director who's our focus tonight, Susanne Bier is a Danish filmmaker whose work is notable for many reasons, but there are two concerns which particularly emerge in the films that you'll see tonight. First and foremost, her films throughout her career have dealt with family relations, whether it's father-son relationships, husband and wife, and sort of the challenges that families face in modern society. Secondly, her films consider how these domestic concerns can be complicated by dramatic situations which she creates, which have a more global scope. And tonight you'll see that represented in how the characters in each of the films, in the first film dealing with the situation in Africa, the second in India. Susanne Bier was raised in a traditional Jewish household in Copenhagen. Her father's family fled Nazi Germany in 1933 before relocating to Denmark, where they eventually settled down. As a student, she explored interests in religion, art, and architecture before attending the National Film School in Denmark, where she eventually developed her own career as a director, both working in Sweden and Denmark. For many, contemporary Danish cinema is defined by a movement known as the Dogma 95 Collective, which was an ambitious and provocative movement that emerged in 1995, which sought to strip away the artifice of many film productions and, as Bier herself has noted, to get back to the basics of filmmaking. At a 1995 gathering in Paris to commemorate the first century of motion picture production, director Lars von Trier was called upon to speak about the future of film. And ever the provocateur, von Trier proceeded to arrive at the podium with a batch of pamphlets which he threw into the audience and declared this is the future of cinema, and essentially made the declaration in support of the Dogma Collective, which the pamphlets themselves contained the Dogma Manifesto and the Vow of Chastity. And if you've ever read these statements online, they're rather impassioned statements about how to change the way films are made, but with a pretty amusing tone. The Dogma Collective imposed a set of very rigid rules upon its practitioners. So in trying to rethink how films were made, the idea was to establish a set of limitations about how films could be made. So among the rules which were imposed, no genre films were allowed. Films were to be shot on location. They were to use natural sound and light sources, whatever was available in the production, as opposed to anything artificial, and also to remove directorial credit, which if you're ever researching these films, can pose a slight problem when the director is actually not listed on the film. Bier's first feature film, the 1999 international hit comedy, The One and Only, was made during this period but did not reflect these new rules which had been imposed by the Dogma Collective. It was their second feature, Open Hearts, which was made in 2002, where she began a long-term collaboration with screenwriter Andres Thomas Jensen, where she more fully embraced these stylistic limitations. While the Dogma movement has since subsided, Danish cinema has become much more prominent on an international stage, with directors such as von Trier, Bier, Lone Scherfig, Nicholas Winding Refn, in regular competition at festivals, but also moving on to work in Hollywood. Scherfig most recently produced the film One Day, and Refn made the film Drive, which came out earlier this year. Also a note in relation to all of this is that von Trier's latest film, Melancholia, will actually be featured in our next season of the Nanovic series. We're working on a date in February, so we hope you can come back. It's a film that must be experienced in this cinema on the big screen. We know you'll enjoy it. An even greater impact of the Dogma movement, though, was that both in terms of Bier's work and European cinema in general, more and more filmmakers embraced the formal techniques which were designed to offer a much more heightened sense of realism and capture a kind of immediacy within films. And again, to get back to that sense of getting back to basics and stripping away artifice, which I think you'll see, which is certainly evident in both of the films that are showing tonight. Bier's more recent work has looked beyond her Scandinavian roots with a more pronounced global interest. She said that the third world is really part of our lives, it's unavoidable, and we need to relate to it. My particular world is not just Copenhagen, Denmark, it has to be broader than this. My world is larger than it used to be. Bier's films feature thematic elements in which the central characters' domestic lives are irrevocably shaped by parallel experiences that they have away from home. Her 2004 film Brothers centered on a soldier fighting in Afghanistan who returns home to discover a shocking turn of events. Our second feature film tonight, After the Wedding, which was made in 2007, centers on a manager of an Indian orphanage who also returns home to Copenhagen to uncover a family secret. In A Better World, which was released just this year, examines the life of a Swedish doctor whose family life fractures while he's working in an African refugee camp believed to be Sudan, although not specifically identified. All of these films offer a fresh perspective on how we consider the struggles we face in everyday life in relation to the world at large. And again, I encourage you to stay for both films so you get a sense of how this has carried out for Bier in particular as a director over the course of her career. Just another technical note, during the intermission we will be making some adjustments due to different ratios and different lens change that we have to make for the film. So during the intermission the lights will come down briefly and we'll have to put a reel of the film on screen, so just so you're aware that we're just making a technical adjustment before the feature actually starts, so don't be alarmed. Thank you again for coming to the cinema. We hope you enjoy the films tonight. Thanks.